Okay, so what would happen if you became a photosynthesizing king and you became a little coward? Ability forms are not a real thing in Pokemon, at least not this specific concept. Last month, a fellow art person and YouTuber, Nortist, conceptualized the Pokemon ability form, where a Pokemon's appearance changes based on which ability it has. Initially, they started things off with Breloom, and let's just say, it took the Fakemon world by storm. Over the past couple of weeks, I have seen some really incredible designs out of this really incredible concept, and now I want to do it too. So let me get out my pencils because it's time to draw Oddish. Sorry, I'm really terrible at segues. Right, so before I began Oddish, I originally wanted to make some ability forms of good old trusty Zigzagoon, because I love Zigzagoon. Ziggy has the abilities Pickup, Gluttony, and Quick Feet, so I figured I could make some interesting things out of that. I started on my Pickup form first, and I was having a bit of trouble. In fact, this was not fun at all. Sometimes when I'm trying to execute an idea I have, it can be a bit of a struggle to put it on paper, and no matter how hard I try, it just never ends up looking right. It's downright frustrating. Today was one of those days. I just wanted the little guy to be scavenging for some items, rare candy in mouth, but it just kinda kept looking off, like an uncanny valley Zigzagoon. It wasn't actually until I broke ground on a Gluttony Zigzagoon that I just completely gave up. That one, right there, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. So onwards to Oddish, my third favorite Pokemon. Listen, I would love to do Kyogre, but its second ability is literally the result of a form change, so it'd be kinda redundant. Oddish has two abilities, Chlorophyll and its hidden ability, Run Away. I started on the Chlorophyll form first because it was the form that I estimated would be the trickiest to not only conceptualize, but actually color. See, this is what shiny Oddish looks like. It's pretty green, and so I also want this to be a green Oddish, but also not look like the shiny, so there's a bit of work to do here. For the pose, I figured Oddish going for a little walk would be nice, and it would juxtapose nicely with the runaway form, which will be, running away. During the sketching phase, I had the idea to make its leaves conceal some kind of flower bud. I basically wanted this to be a very green, very photosynthesizing, full of life Oddish. The flower buds just didn't look quite right in the end, and so I changed it to be some kind of plant-like haze. Now, before I line this bad boy, I'm gonna sketch the runaway form. Something I do like about these is that Oddish is pretty easy to draw. Thank God. It was really fun to do something quite different with its leaves. I feel like the concept of this ability really does allow for more out-of-the-box designing, especially considering Runaway is Oddish's hidden ability, so it makes sense that it's a bit extra special. I figured it would be a little fun to have some leaves like being left behind. Maybe it leaves a small little trail when it runs. Now moving on to the lining. Normally I'm not a big fan of the lining process, but these lines were very smooth and very easy to draw, so I had a really relaxing time. Now comes the color. I started with the chlorophyll form and colored it in with the regular Oddish colors, but I did mention that I wanted to give this form a more greener palette without crossing the line into the shiny form. After messing around with the hue and saturation of the body, I landed on a palette that I think works really well. I actually kept the leaves the same color since the shiny leaves are more yellower, so if I kept them the same, then it would be a good way to separate this form from the shiny. It would also force me to use a different green than the shiny. I also transformed the flower buds from the sketch into these two accent leaves, which do allow for an accent color. I filled everything in, blended the color of the leaves in the body at the joining point, and added some accent markings to further separate it from the shiny. And finally, I added the little plant haze I spoke about during the sketch, complete with a particle effect. Now, before we check out this form in all of its completed glory, we must go and finish off the runaway form. Not much change from the sketch in the final, except I did add these little smears in the line art to show off its speed a bit more explicitly. When I make Fakemon art, I personally find a lot of fun in trying to replicate the official art style of Pokemon, but that style can be kind of limiting because its only purpose is to show off the design in one easy unobscured pose, so making something too dynamic can be immersion breaking. I feel like this trick probably wouldn't be used a whole lot in the official art, but it was fun to add anyways, and I feel it does fit the style to a certain degree. The other change I made was the expression. He was originally an angry boy, but now he's a sad boy. Now all there is left to do is color it in. I just went with the regular Oddish colors for this form. I did some shading and highlighting, and presto! Here are my Oddish ability forms. Again, please go give big props to Nordist, for without their genius mind, these little Oddish would simply not exist. Thank you as always for watching my video. I really appreciate it. Remember to subscribe. I put out new videos every Friday or Saturday if you live on Mirage Island like me, or if, in this case, I am late. Remember to eat your vegetables. They're very yummy and healthy. No!